Today we're going to appreciate Chinese calligraphy using a hexagram of the I Ching, and this is hexagram number 16. So I'm going to bring up my reference material there, and we're going to get started. Here's the brush. Let's see, which one will I use today? There's a difference between the two of them. I think I'll go with maybe the larger one for the title character. Some water in there. And get a little ink on that brush. Okay, so hexagram 16 is translated as delight. Here's the character for the hexagram. So we're going to start off with this. Okay. Here. Then we're going to come down with a hook there. Alright, so this is only one half of the hexagram, or of the character. This represents a hand, and this is an arm, and this is a thing in the middle that's being both given and received at the same time. Now we'll do the other part of the character, which is actually an elephant, and I'll explain a little bit when we've got that done. So I'm using a reference here. This could be, you're not supposed to do this, I'm going to do it though, just cause. All right, and okay, one more. This is what kind of makes the elephant. I'll explain in a moment. One more. We have a Pia. No. Okay. So this is the that's the character for delight, which is hexagram number 16. Oh, by the way, if we want to write 16 is the number 10 plus the number 6. Okay. So this is a hand that's giving and receiving, and the reason why this is an elephant, according to Alfred Huang, the person we'll reference his work in a moment, is that an elephant is basically standing on its two legs, and its trunk is in the air. And the reason why we have these two things together is because it's written or documented that King Wen, the person who authored the first version of the changes, loved elephant shows. Now, what's interesting is this particular elephant was only prevalent in the south of China during the time that we're talking about, and this is like 1700 BCE. But it was for work. Elephants were used for work, but in the north they were used for show. And the Zhou dynasty was more in the northern part of China, and so that's kind of the idea here. So we're giving and receiving delight. Now, there are some other characters that we can delve into. In order to do that, I think I'll use a thinner brush now. Okay. These characters basically talk about what the hexagram is. So I'll read this. This is from Alfred Huang, and this is from his book, The Complete I Ching. It says, delight, favorable to establish feudal lords and mobilize the multitude. So the idea is that this hexagram symbolizes when things are kind of moving together and they look like they're going in the right direction and they feel like they're going in the right direction. They haven't yet gotten there. So we have to be careful, because the idea is that if we're too hasty in just saying, hey, we're delighted, then complacency can actually creep in. And when that happens, then we lose it all. So that's the idea. So when he says delight, okay, we got that. Favorable to establish feudal lords, that basically means that it's favorable to put everything in motion and mobilize the multitude, which basically means set conditions so that success can happen. That's what that means. So let's go ahead and let's do some more text here. I feel like we've seen this character before. I remember where. This is the word for one of the primary words in the interpretations of the hexagram. This, to me, means activity. It used to be, or it is, I can't remember right now because I'm recording and my mind is blank. Anyways, it's one of the 4 main words. If I remember, I'll say it. But let's go to the next word. I think this means basically like favorable action. What makes this character not so great is that it doesn't fit into a perfect square. There's this idea of composition as being important when practicing calligraphy. Composition meaning there must be balance between all the elements, all the characters, all the radicals, and right here there's not. It's because this it's out in the side and it's not really supposed to be. Okay, let's do the next character. Make sure I'm holding my brush right. All right. Next character. This is supposed to have a little bit of a round thing right there, and so I made a mistake on that, but that's okay. Okay. Okay, I don't know if you can see it or not, but you see there's some bleed around all these. And that's because I don't have the right amount of ink and water together. I like that I can acknowledge that, so that later I can pay attention to what I'm actually doing. Okay, last character for the beginning text of the hexagram. Then I'll show you what they mean. Okay. Funny enough, this is the name for multitude or armies, as it might be translated in some hexagrams. This means multitude. And it's hexagram number 7, actually, which is kind of neat. But that's not necessarily part of our discussion right now. Okay, so let me pull up. This is... So this basically, this whole thing means delight. Hexagram number 16. That is 10 and then 6. And then remember we talked about giving and receiving, delight and giving and receiving, and an elephant show is as it turns out. Okay, so this is advantage or profit or favorable. This means to build or establish. This means a marquis or a noble person or nobleman, a noble, or I think the way that we can translate it now is leader. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a noble, so to speak. It's someone whose charge is the people. Xing means to go or to move. I think Alfred Huang kind of made it like into mobilize. And then this is the older meaning for this character is multitude, and the newer definition is army. Okay, so when we have all these put together, that's now where we can see that Alfred Huang says on the hexagram is delight, favorable, to establish leaders, and to mobilize the multitude. So we're not, basically the idea here is that, for at least for me, what this meant is, and I can, there's more after looking at all the lines, but insofar as, oh wow, we just kind of changed from a different music, that means it's my time to go. Anyways, the idea is that I can delight in everything, but it's important not to get complacent and to rest on my laurels, otherwise things will be lost. Thank you for appreciating I Ching and Chinese calligraphy with me today. And maybe a little bit of funk music at the end of the beautiful Asian music.